Alright, welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. If this is your first time to the channel, I ask that you hit that subscribe button and then hit the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time we go live on this channel or every time a new video is uploaded right here on SouFLoTV. For those of you who get tired of the Caribbean stuff and the Jamaican stuff that I do on this channel all the time, I have another channel on YouTube which is called Brainflow TV. Click the link in the description or the link in the comment section that is pinned and take you to my other channel, Brainflow TV, where you can also subscribe there. There we talk about all things outside of Jamaica and the Caribbean. Anyways, right now, I can hear Buju Banton's voice playing in my head because Buju addressed this earlier and he got a lot of flack for it. Apparently, Buju had read the details, but he did not reveal to us the details, so a lot of us didn't know what Buju Banton was saying. All right, listen, today in the paper, matter of fact, this was shared out, it says Kingston, Jamaica. The Jamaica Constabulary Force is advising the public that as a result of recent amendments to the Disaster Risk Management Act, which is the DRMA, the police, listen carefully, because Buju talk about how your freedoms are going to be taken away to this measure. It says that the Jamaica Constabulary Force is advising the public that as a result of recent amendments to the Disaster Risk Management Act, the police are no longer required to give warning notices before effecting an arrest for breaches. That means, them can see you out a road, decide that you are breaching the DRMA and drag your ass off the streets, arrest you and put you in confinement right away. Simply put, the police caution that those found in breach of the measures can now be arrested and charged immediately. All right, some people are saying, yes, long time them for do it because they are too unruly and that's the only way we're going to get the place back to normal or anything close to normal, get the place open up again. Too many people having illegal parties, congregating, running around with no mask, blah, blah, blah. All right, listen to this. I'm going to walk you through so you understand what is about to happen. So check the details. Taken from the jis.gov.jm House Amends Disaster Risk Management Act to introduce penalties. This is straight from the government website. House Amends Disaster Risk Management Act to introduce penalties. Listen to this because they just did this. They did this March 10th of 2020. See, today is April 28th of 2020. So a month and a few days later, they did another amendment. I scratch my head because I'm saying, well, how come there are no amendments written into the crime laws that exist already to shore up the thing? Because, we've had like 430 something murders already for the year so far in Jamaica, but it doesn't seem like crime and violence, especially violent crimes, are top priority for those who are leaders, elected, or are in charge. Jamaican people aren't scared of COVID. They're scared of murderers, extortionists, badman, gunman. That's what they're afraid of. Anyhow, the House Representative on Tuesday, March 23rd, passed legislation that will introduce a specific enforceable system of sanctions against persons who breach the public health protocols. This is going to get into details. When I am done with this, you won't have to ask anybody else to explain it to you. This includes fixed penalties ranging from $3,000 to $500,000. The bill, entitled the Disaster Risk Management Amendment Act, was passed with 2 amendments. Since March 10th of 2020, the government has employed the Disaster Risk Management Act as the primary legislative tool to manage the COVID-19 pandemic on the island of Jamaica. In piloting the legislation, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Honorable Desmond McKenzie, said that over this period, many lessons have been learned about the efficiency of this law in relation to the government's priority of returning the country to full productivity and social activity. One of these lessons is an unfortunate one, he said. He said that we have learned that while many of our resident citizens, visiting Jamaicans and overseas guests respect the orders issued under the Act to safeguard public health, there are still way too many people who continue to demonstrate total disregard. This is what Mr. McKenzie said. Now, as part of measures to increase compliance, listen to me, Clause 52 of the Act has been amended to include a structure of offenses and penalties, including fixed penalties in relation to the orders made under the Act. The clause specifies the procedure to be applied when a constable deems that an offense has been committed. So all it takes is for a constable to deem that an offense is committed. They include the serving of a formal notice. You see that? They include the serving of a formal notice. This was just March 20th. They include the serving of a formal notice. Today's news says they have a new amendment, and the new amendment takes that serving of a formal notice out of it. So they no longer have to serve you no notice. Now, what used to happen before when them serve you a notice, you see? Let me explain to you so you understand how this is working. The notice also offers the chance. So this includes the serving of a formal notice, which is essentially a ticket that specifies the details that would be surrounding the offense, right? So they would write you a ticket, and on the ticket it would say what was happening and how you committed an offense, how you breached whatever that act was. The notice also offered the chance of paying a fixed penalty for the offense within a specified period of time, failing which the notice becomes a summons to appear in court to answer to the charge. So if you didn't pay, your notice would become a summons, then you would have to appear in court to answer to the charge. He noted that these provisions reflect fairness. How was it done? As a minimum of 30 days must pass between the date that the notice is issued and the date that the fixed penalty is to be paid. That means that they would give you some time to go get your monies together. You just got fined $50,000. If you're down on your luck and you didn't have the finances, you had 30 days, a whole month to go gather this money from somewhere. I don't know, get an early partner draw or beg some family and friends and borrow. Get your money together because you don't want to go to jail, all right? Or you don't want to be summoned to appear before court. There wasn't no jail time really in it before. You would appear before a court. But if you paid the money, he noted that these provisions reflected fairness. Additionally, anyone who has to face the courts for failing to pay the penalty will not be liable for conviction for the alleged offense. Listen to this. If the fixed penalty is paid before a final judgment of the case is delivered. So if you could have come up with your money quick enough, then that would have been the end of it. This is where a lot of people were saying, this is a money-making thing, man. This is a money-making thing because there's really no punishment there other than money fine. And they put up some big numbers, up to $500,000. See? That's like 4,000 and something US dollars, you know. In every instance, the fines are to be paid to any collectorate or through the website of Tax Administration Jamaica. The form of the notice is also displayed in the schedule, Mr. McKenzie said. Clause 52 also contains the sixth schedule, which addresses the list of fixed penalties for breaches. listen carefully. The minister said this list has 10 levels or tiers of fixed penalties, which range from $3,000 for first level offenses to $500,000 for offenses at the 10th level. And there are 40 offenses specified that attract these fixed penalties. In layman's terms, 40 things upon the list that you can be held accountable for and be issued one of these money fines for. 40 things on the list. Failure to wear a mask in public, not keeping the 6-foot physical distancing rule, or breaching the protocols government public transportations will attract a $5,000 fine. In addition, if persons fail to stay in an abode or a place of residence during a curfew, they could face a fine of $10,000. If a gym is operated outside of the time it is specified, or small outdoor events are held in breach of the order, the fixed penalty would then be about $20,000. Also, any person who normally resides in Jamaica and or returning to the island from overseas fails or refuses to remain in quarantine or to obey any other direction or order is liable for a fine of $25,000. If a person who does not normally reside in Jamaica or who is a tourist visiting refuses to stay in the resilient corridor as required, then there will be a $30,000 penalty. Could I tell you all that by my own admission? I stayed in the corridor when I last visited, which was just last month, but I myself got out of the corridor because real life takes precedence. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite and come talk about stay, which part stay. No, my grandmother just lost her leg. My grandmother is in Clarendon. I stayed in the corridor in Ocherius because the corridor is developed in the tourist area, and the specific reason for developing that corridor is so that tourism could be saved. Okay, I understand wanting to save our tourism industry, but at the same time, what about the people like me who are coming into the island for my wife's family's affairs, but I also have to go check on my grandmother who just lost a leg and is not doing too good? So I made my way to Clarendon, which means I left the corridor. And it specifically says here in writing that if you refuse to stay in the resilient corridor as required, the penalty is $30,000. So had I been caught, I could very well have been hit with a $30,000 fine. Furthermore, any person who has COVID-19 and refuses to stay in quarantine, that person is subject to a fine of $50,000. And the same amount applies to any employer who does not comply with the specified workplace requirements. Minister Mackenzie also informed that for the offense of conducting funerals, burials, weddings, or any other worship services in contravention of any order in force, the fixed penalty for that is $100,000. Again, I just came back from Jamaica. I attended 2 funerals, which was a big part of us going there. And I'm talking about March of 2021, right? And the last funeral we went to, which is my wife's grandfather's funeral, the very day after his funeral, it was announced while we were still in Jamaica on the radio that Prime Minister Andrew Holness just announced that no more funerals will be allowed until further notice. So at first it was like indefinitely. So people panicked and they started saying, well, what are we supposed to do with our dead? It costs a lot of money just to keep them on ice alone. People flying ready for a funeral, and then this comes in and their funeral date was already set. So guess what? Funeral gets scratched. If you went ahead with that funeral, you would have been hit with a $100,000 fine. Anyone who operates a hotel or a resort that is not licensed under the Tourist Board Act, certified by the Tourism Product Development Company, or located within the resilient corridor could face a penalty of $500,000. Anyone who operates a hotel or resort that is not licensed under the Tourist Board Act. Now you must think about what is considered a hotel or a resort, because you know there are a lot of Airbnbs out there, and some of them are big and sprawling and are running looking like a hotel. You could be hit with a $500,000 fine. This fine also applies to any hotel or resort, nightclub or amusement park that breaches the COVID-19 protocol, and to any nightclub, amusement park or water attraction that is operated when it is ordered to be closed. You are at the top of the list with a $500,000 fine. In the meantime, Mr. McKenzie said that these amendments to the Disaster Risk Management Act are clear and they have been crafted in pursuit of clear objectives. He added that the circumstances in which the act can be invoked have been expanded to ensure that the government has at all times the legislative authority within which it can respond swiftly to challenges and secure the interest of the population. So with that said, they have taken away the part of that where they amended it to say that you would be notified first. They would write you a ticket, tell you that you are breaching it, and then you would have a certain amount of days to pay the ticket, which is 30 days. No longer does that exist. You will now be or can be arrested on the spot, and they do not have to give you a notice. Police no longer required to give a warning before the arrest. That is what the headline says, coming directly from the Jamaica Constabulary Forces site. All right, so just beware of that. So when time you see, boy, people have me laughing because my Jamaican people, you know, we take serious thing make joke, right? So a lot of people are saying right now, enough face I gotta get box off right now, you know, cause you know some of them police, them fed up and tired, overworked and underpaid, stressed out, long hours, all these things. Side man there, them yard and all, something man run through back door when them coming through front door. Too many hours on the job. They're gonna take some stuff out on these people. When them collar up man out the road, and you know how Jamaican people stay, a lot of them are gonna be like, let go off of me, where I hold on for me for? And the crowd is gonna gather around. Then officer, you have to hold him so, you have to angle him so, you can't just make him go on. Him never hurt nobody. You know how that goes already. So I look forward to seeing this. No face I get box off, no foot I get kick away. People I get dragged, handcuffed, and locked up. Don't be one of them. The police is no longer required to give any warning before the arrest. Once they feel like you have violated, and I already gave you the ways in details in which you can violate. Once they feel like, a constable feels like you have violated, him can pull out the handcuffs and say, turn around and put your hands behind your back and cuff you up, read your rights, take you to jail. That's how it ends. I can hear Buju Banton's voice right now. Are we still sleeping? Or are we waking up? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me if you agree with this. My personal opinion of this is that you already fined them, right? And you already had a notice. So you would give somebody a notice. That was enough right there. Why take away the right to give a notice? So when you arrest me now, I have to go find bail money. Plus, I'm going to have to come up with that fine money on the spot in order to get out. Or you're going to carry me, go lock me up inside of some jail cell where there are a bunch of us in there not wearing any mask, not social distancing, not doing any of the things we're supposed to be doing to keep this COVID number low. It don't make no sense to me. But this is what they have come up with. Police no longer required to give a warning before an arrest under the DRMA, the Disaster Risk Management Act. Talk up. Catch you on the next video. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button and go over to my other channel, which is SouFLoTV. Make sure you're subscribed over there as well, because over there I get real Yankee and I talk about other things that has nothing to do with Jamaica or the Caribbean. Catch you then. I'm out. Walk good, my people. Walk good. Peace.